I made almost $37,000 my first year as a creator, and none of it came from going viral. No massive following, no overnight success. And if you're building something right now and you feel behind, you're probably measuring the wrong things. Listen, this isn't a flex, this is context. Most people picture creator success as a spike, where one thing clicks and then everything changes. You finally see momentum. And when that doesn't happen, people assume they're doing something wrong. But that's not what it looked like for me. What it actually looked like was a slope. Slow, steady, and honestly, kind of boring. And while it's happening, it doesn't feel impressive. It just feels repetitive. I didn't have a big moment where everything changed. I didn't suddenly feel like I made it. Most months looked pretty similar. I was posting, I was learning, I was adjusting. And then I was doing it again. For a long time, it felt like nothing was happening. And then quietly, things started adding up. When I look back, the growth didn't come from one big decision, it came from a lot of small, boring ones. So, let's talk about what actually mattered. The first thing was usefulness. I wasn't trying to impress people, I wasn't trying to look like a creator. I wasn't trying to be clever or entertaining, though, let's be honest, I was. I was trying to help someone decide. And that shift matters more than you think. When your content has a job, it tends to work, even if it looks boring. The second thing that mattered was repetition. I repeated formats, I covered similar types of products. I didn't reinvent the wheel every week, and I didn't panic when things felt stale. Because repetition compounds. Creative chaos feels productive, but boring consistency actually works. The third thing that mattered was systems. I didn't rely on motivation, I relied on process. I showed up whether I felt inspired or not, because motivation is unreliable. Systems aren't. A lot of things I thought would matter just didn't. Perfect aesthetics didn't matter. Fancy gear early on didn't matter. Trying to keep up with what everyone else was doing didn't help. In fact, that's usually when I felt the most behind. That's why I keep saying, keep your eyes on your own paper. Because the moment you start looking around, you stop building. If what you're doing right now feels repetitive and uneventful, that's not a problem. It usually means you're doing the same small actions over and over, and those actions add up. And then they compound. You don't need a breakthrough moment. You need enough consistency for the math to finally work in your favor. That only happens when you stop chasing what it looks like for other people and start focusing on what actually works for you. Listen, this channel is for people building something real. People who want clarity, not hype. People who want to understand what actually matters and what doesn't. And if you have questions or you want me to cover something specific, just head over to the community tab on my page. That's where I'm going to answer questions and decide what videos to make next. And if this process feels quieter than you expected, well, you're not doing it wrong. In fact, you're doing it right. If this helped, you can just say, "This helped" in the comments. And remember, eyes on your own paper. You got this.